Hello everyone, and welcome to My Campus GPS Facebook Live. This is the place where we talk about how parents can help their high school student prepare for university. And tonight I am dropping the T-bomb, and the T is as in teamwork. So if you are out there in the working world, then you've heard of this thing called teamwork before, and in fact you may have heard about it enough to kind of last your lifetime. But bear with me because I am going to ask you to join one more team, and that team is you and your high school student. So the reason why I want you to form a team or partner up with your high school student is because high school and especially grade 12, there will be a lot of demands, like competing demands on your time, your energy, your focus, your patience, a lot of demands, on your bank account, a lot of different things. And the best way to meet all of those competing demands is to work as a team, you and your high school student. So I admit that the idea of working as a team sounds great, but in reality, it might turn out to look a lot different. So tonight we're talking about the 7 tips to partner with your child for scholarship success. So I'm Janet McDonald, and I am a former university admissions officer, and now with My Campus GPS, I help high school students and parents with applying and the process of preparing for university. So the inspiration for this topic tonight came from this really great article that I read, and it's actually on my Twitter feed and on my Facebook page, and I'll put a link to it in the comments here after I finish. But the article is called A Parent's Perspective: How We Helped Our Daughters Secure Scholarships. And basically it's an article that's written by a mom, and it tells about the journey that this family had with scholarships, and this particular mom helping her daughter with scholarships and what they did to do that. And although, some of my clients have used some of the strategies that they have used in this article, I thought that this kind of start to finish kind of story would be a really good one to kind of use as a case study, I guess you would say. So the article is written by the mom, and like I say, it kind of documents their process that they went through. So tonight I'm going to break down some of those steps that they took and pull out the things that I think that they did really well. And as I do that, hopefully you can get some ideas of how you can use some of these things or something like it to partner with your child to help with your scholarship journey as well. So like I say, this is written by the mom, and it tells a story about how the mom helped their daughter with scholarships. And this is really common. I mean, a lot of my clients, I work with both the mom and the son and daughter. So it's the mom who's really doing a lot of the hands-on stuff in this, and that's, like I say, it's pretty common. So here's the first part of the article, and I'll just read the first part, and then I'll go through some of the things that I really liked. So this is what mom writes. We implemented a scholarship Sunday at our house. Once a month, we spent a few hours working on scholarships and reviewing the ones with upcoming dates. We made it fun, and we always had snacks and something fun to do after our work was done. These Sundays also gave us time to talk about many topics that were important to us, with her leaving soon for college. So some really great stuff in here. The first thing that I see that I really like is that this family made it a regular scheduled event on the calendar. So she said they worked on scholarships for a few hours each month on Sundays. So this was a regularly scheduled event. Both the parent and child knew that it was on their calendar. They knew what was expected of them to, show up and work on scholarships. So it was not done, ad hoc and just kind of, when they could find time, trying to, match up their schedules. And this is when you do things that way, it takes a lot of time and effort, and that's when arguments can start as well. So it was also not done, scrambling at the last minute to throw something together when tensions are high and there's lots of stress. So that can, although that needs to be done sometimes, when you have a short timeline, that's not the best way to do things. That can be a recipe for disaster. So what you want to do is do what they did and take this proactive, strategic approach, and that will provide a much more calm kind of atmosphere and environment for you to get to work and get your work done. What I also liked about this regular schedule is that it held their daughter accountable to actually do the work. So anything that was on the to-do list, they could put it on the list for that scholarship Sunday, but then when the time came, they could get down and the daughter could actually do the work. So this whole thing about accountability is really, really important. And to give you an example, if you think about Weight Watchers, for example, part of the reason why Weight Watchers is so successful is because of the accountability. So here's actually what it says, the direct quote from the Weight Watchers website. Fundamental to Weight Watchers meeting experience is a weekly weigh-in to track members' progress. Many people find the accountability of being weighed by another person helpful to their weight loss efforts, and the structure of going to a Weight Watchers meeting each week is a way to keep commitment strong. So this is very similar concept to these scholarship Sundays that this mom instituted in their home. And, it's the same really with things like executive coaching and different self-help programs, everything. It's that regularity that holds people accountable and keeps them on track and keeps them working towards their goals. So it's the same kind of concept that we're talking about here with scholarships. So the second thing in that first little snippet that I really liked is that she said they made it fun and they had like a small reward at the end after they'd finished their work. So filling out scholarship applications is not fun. Like, I get it, but there are ways that you can make it less painful. And one of the ways, like this mom did, is to have some favorite snacks. Kids love snacks. We all know that. So she made a special kind of effort to get these special snacks that they could enjoy while they were doing the work. And then she said that they had some kind of reward at the end. So she doesn't mention what that is, but that might be something like maybe the mom made or the dad made the daughter's favorite meal for dinner that night or something like that. Or maybe they loaned her the car so that she could go to a movie or go to a sports event or something like that. So some little reward like that would be a really nice touch. The third thing that they did well was they talked about things other than scholarships during this time. So although the focus was on doing the work for scholarships, which is great, the mom wasn't so rigid about, all work, no play, and kind of, lecturing about responsibility and being a big downer and everything. I think by the sounds of things, this mom, recognizes that grade 12 is a highly emotional time for both the student and the parent. And by the sounds of things, these regularly scheduled scholarship Sundays kind of gave them an opportunity to check in and, allowed conversations to come up naturally about all of the changes that are taking place. And that sounds like a really positive thing that came out of this that might not have been what you expect. But anyway, the point is to allow some of this other stuff to take place and not be so rigid, and that can kind of take some of the pressure off as well. So the fourth thing I think that they did right, and this is later on in the article, was that they had the financial expectations talk with their daughter. So the mom writes, "My husband and I sat down and had an honest conversation with her in the fall of her senior year." This is their daughter she's talking about. "We stated that we had a plan to apply for 20 to 30 scholarships in the next 6 months. Wow, that's a lot. And that she would need to participate fully or we would not assist her in paying for college. Now, I don't agree with that last part. You know, withholding funds if she doesn't participate is a bit harsh. You know, even I think that's pretty harsh. Plus, when you make threats like that, you know, you should be prepared to carry them out. So I don't necessarily agree with that part. But I do think that your child needs to know and to believe that you will not, and that you cannot financially, like that, you know, most people cannot financially pay for university and for all of the regular stuff that you're paying for now. So it is important that your student understands that, and that they understand they have a responsibility to help to pay for part of their post-secondary, and part of that is to participate to the best of their abilities in applying for university, or sorry, applying for scholarships. So this financial expectations talk, I have an article on that on my blog, and you can have a look at that if you like. It's you can get that at mycampusgps.ca/blog, BLOG. That talks about why that financial expectations talk is important, and some ideas about how you can have that talk with your son or daughter. So the fifth thing I think that they did right, and again, this is kind of later on in the article, they got organized. So the mom says, after our conversation, we created an electronic system where each month we would identify scholarships that we felt were a good fit for her qualifications. We noted the due dates in bold and worked backwards in obtaining transcripts, letters of recommendation, and other things. So they helped a lot with finding the scholarships and organizing them, but they held her accountable for it to actually do the work by having those regular scholarship Sundays. Okay, so the sixth thing that I think that they did right, and the sixth tip, is that when motivation was really low and it seemed like maybe she might want to give up, they offered an incentive. So the mom says, we had some setbacks with rejection emails, and at that point we offered her another incentive to continue applying. If she continued applying for scholarship, I said I would pay for her books for her first year of school. Essentially, she had just won her first scholarship, in my opinion. This worked well for us, and we continued to perfect our methods of applying. So there will be setbacks in over this you know, it's an ongoing process. So there will be setbacks and kind of ups and downs. So I am not a big fan of bribes or like big incentives, I guess you would say. But sometimes to keep things moving, you do have to offer a little something, and there has to be some kind of incentive or motivation there. So I would say to try to keep, you know, the carrot and the stick to a minimum, but sometimes using them strategically is necessary. So I'm not completely against them. I just say, you know, use those sparingly. So the seventh thing, and the biggest kind of overall thing I think that they did right, was that they made scholarships a priority. And by doing all of these things that they did throughout the whole process, they sent a message that this is a priority with our family. And they also sent the message, we will help you with this. But this is a priority for us. So to do something like this, like I say, over a period of time, it does take energy, and so there will be, you know, the child does need to know that this is a priority. So they determined that the best use of their time, which remember was only a few hours a month, was to prioritize getting money for university. So think about that. It was only a few hours a month that they did this, and think about how that could potentially significantly improve your child's life. You know, it could, you know, reduce their debt, reduce their stress, you know, worrying about how they're going to pay for university or how they're going to pay back all of those loans. So this could potentially have a really good return on investment, the time that you put into this. And really, like I say, when you think about it, it's only a few hours. Like, what better use of time do you have than to potentially win thousands of dollars for university? Like, is there anything that you can think of that would be more important to do with 2 or 3 hours a month? So, you know, that's what I mean about prioritizing this stuff and kind of getting your strategy and your process together so that it's not such a huge undertaking, that it is manageable. And then the, you know, that return can be there, and hopefully you can see something from that. Obviously it's not a guarantee, but there is real potential for it. So anyway, like I say, I mean, you have to think, you know, what other more valuable, more important things do I have to do with this 2 or 3 hours a month? So what happened in the end for this family? The mom writes, in the end, she won over $15,000 in scholarships for her freshman year in college. This is American, so they say college, but it's university. Here's the part I like, though, that she said. She was thrilled to be asked by other people what it was like, what it was that she was doing to be so successful with scholarships. So, you know, the student won money, but she also got to take some pride and probably got some confidence by going through this process and by winning some of this money. So she got to feel good about that, and that's, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, she did a lot of work, and she should be proud of the work that she did. And the mom says, since then we've tried the same strategies with our second daughter, and she has also won over $9,000 you know, on top of the money that the universities have given to them. So this mom says that in the end, what made them successful was patience, dedication, and good old-fashioned teamwork. So I agree. Teamwork worked really well for this family, and it can also work really well for you too. So let's recap the 7 tips to partner with your child for scholarships. So the first one is to make it a regular scheduled event so that your child is held accountable to actually do the work. The second thing is to make it fun, offer a little bit of a reward after the work is done. The third is to, you know, allow yourself to talk about some other things, and don't be too rigid about, you know, things about always just focusing 100% on work. You know, I think it's important to allow that time to bond as well. Hopefully that's what will happen anyway. The fourth thing is to have the financial expectations with your talk with your student before you go into this process. And then tip 5 is to get organized. And tip 6, offer an incentive, you know, when motivation is low, if there's a chance of this kind of shutting down completely. And number 7, and this is the overall big message, is to make it a priority and to send that message to your child that this is a priority for our family. So that's it for tonight. If there's one thing in particular that you really, one suggestion in particular that you really liked, please let me know, I'm sure, or if you have any suggestions about things that you think would work, then please let me know that too. I'm sure other parents would love to know. And that's it for tonight, and I thank you, and I'll see you here next week.